we were talking a little bit about experiences, like sort of peak experiences. There are a lot of phenomena that unfolds on this path. So we were talking about Kundalini awakenings and how this kind of fits into this whole path. And I think it's really important. There's a personal story I'd like to share around this, because this is something that happened early on for me, and it took me down the rabbit hole for a long time on a path of seeking. And I didn't really understand what, again, there's sort of two dualities or polarities in this whole awakening journey. There's every awakening is accompanied by some experience in the phenomenal world. So it seems, from that dualistic mind's perspective, it seems like there's sort of two possibilities for samadhi, or two samadhis, and there is from one perspective, and from another perspective there isn't. So I'll explain that a little bit, and hopefully this will become clear. So in the ancient traditions, there were considered to be two types of samadhi. One is called Savikalpa Samadhi, and one is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So Savikalpa is the experience part of it. So Savikalpa Samadhi is when, for example, if we have a Kundalini awakening, or in my case, I went to a Vipassana center, I was doing the body scan, and I had a merging experience. So it's like a peak experience. When we have a Savikalpa Samadhi experience, it's like the awesomest human experience. It's an experience of union, connection, energy. It's like you're one with everything. So, and you can experience it through many different ways. And it's always done, there's some sort of technique usually being done with it. So there's some doing, like focusing on the breath, or doing a body scan, doing a chant. So you do this technique, and eventually you become one with your meditation object. You literally become the breath, or you become the chant, or you become, the energy of the body. So you awaken as that. And when you're in that state, you can be walking around, and everything is you. It feels that everything is literally you in that state. So the thing with Savikalpa Samadhi is it's phenomenal. It's in the experience realm, so it's temporary, unfortunately. So for me, at this Vipassana retreat, I was a total newbie at that time, total beginner. So I had no clue. So I was fully identified with the Dan character, who was having this peak experience, and of course I thought, this is it. Like I'm like Jesus, I'm Buddha. I'm like I did it, awesome, and I'm like totally identified, because I thought, I'm the Dan character having this experience. And so it was awesome for a little while, until I went to bed that night, and then it went away. And the next day I felt the loss of that. And then so I went from the highest to the lowest. I felt, the limitation of the Dan character again, and the desperation of trying to get that experience back. And so, I at that point, the seeker was born. The seeker was desperate to get that experience back, and it set me off on a decade of learning every sutra and every tradition and meditation technique. And the more I would learn and the more I would try to get it back, the further I was getting away from it. And it wasn't until I ended up at a Zen center where luckily they put me in conditions of no escape. So it was so rigorous that my Dan character was guaranteed to fail, to become enlightened or whatever it thought it was supposed to do there. And so all the techniques, all the practices, everything that I had learned was of absolutely no use. It just came down to me, this little me dying on a cushion and failing to awaken. And that had to happen, that I had to fail. And my meditation teacher at that time said, find out who is struggling, who's that struggling. And I found out, I realized it's this character struggling. And there's nothing we can do with the conditioned mind to awaken. It's only when we give up all that doing that it becomes available. And that Kensho, Kensho is, it means knowledge of our true nature. So Kensho is what, the deep Kensho is the same as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So this is the other Samadhi. So the one is this peak experience where you're everything, and the other is this knowing that you're none of that. It's waking up from that, knowing you're nothing, knowing that you're everything, and we're both. Our life is both of these, and the further we go on the path, the more they, it's form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. It's all one. It's all happening. We go, we evolve this self-structure, develop it, develop the chakras and purify it of samskaras, but we wake up from identification with it as well. So in Zen, they have a beautiful phrase, always being Buddha, always becoming Buddha. So we always already are that awareness that we realize in Kensho. We wake up and realize, oh, it was ever present. It was always here. There's nothing that ever had to happen for me to be free. Awareness was never in a prison. But yet, the self-structure is always becoming Buddha, or it's always evolving. It's like the thousand-petaled lotus. It's always unfolding to higher and higher levels, becoming more and more expanded, like the big mind. So when we wake up as the true self, we're unlimited, and the mind, the little self, is becoming more and more a reflection of that, the further we go on the path. So it's an interesting situation that we're in. Yeah, it seems like there's something to do, or something to perfect, something to, this project of enlightenment and this ongoing development process, yet everything is perfect as it is. So I'll just leave you with one more little analogy or story. This is one that I love from Zen, and it really illustrates the kind of the madness of meditation. So there's a meditation student who goes to the Zen center, and he's very diligent. He's in Zen, they have all these rules and bowing and rituals and things, and he learns everything. He's determined to become enlightened, so he's showing up for all the sits and working really hard. And one day he's sitting there in meditation, and the teacher goes up to him and says, "What are you doing sitting there?" And he's kind of surprised, and he's like, "Well, I'm meditating. I'm trying to be enlightened." And so the teacher says, "Just hang on a sec." And he goes and he gets a stone tile, and he comes back and sits beside the student, and he starts polishing this tile. And he's polishing it and polishing it, and the student is confused, and he says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm polishing this tile so that it will become a mirror." And the student says, "Well, that's a stone tile. Like, you can polish that all day long. It'll never become a mirror." And the teacher says, and that's what you're doing in your meditation practice. That's what your ego is doing. Your ego, your self-structure is the stone tile. You're polishing that tile. You're doing some activity that the mind thinks is meditation, but that conditioned self will never become a mirror. It will never awaken. So, really it comes down to, in our practice, just being, coming to a place when all of this doing in the mind, in Zen they say your mud settles. Eventually the mud settles, the whirlpool of the mind will slow down, and we can start to just be present. And there's nothing else. Just recognize who is aware in that space, in that stillness. And that's it.